everybody, welcome to the Giant Insider Podcast. My name's Jerry Foley. I'm the senior editor of the Giant Insider newspaper. And with me, as always, is Chris Bisignano, the beat writer for the Giant Insider. And normally on a Friday podcast, we're talking about the predictions for the weekend. We go into who the Giants are playing. But since we were all witnesses, or I should say victims, to last night's debacle, I think this one, Chris, we'll talk about the state of affairs in the Meadowlands and kind of give a state of the union of the Giants. And let me start off by saying, right now, the Giants somehow this year are actually worse than they were last year. Without Ben McAdoo, with a whole new offensive line, with a rookie running back for the ages, a guy who is so talented, better than I thought he was going to be. A new coach, the same quarterback that we've had for a while, a revamped defense, new guys, new everything, new GM. Yet we are worse, absolutely worse than we were last year. Chris, tell me I'm wrong.
I wish I could tell you were wrong, Jerry, but I can't, bud. Yeah, it's worse than last year. I don't know how to explain it anymore. The defense was pretty decent beginning of the year. That's gone now, right? I mean, they can't really stop anybody now.
And Olivier Vernon came back and, you know what, actually showed somewhat of a pass rush. He actually played pretty well. So for everyone saying that Vernon wasn't going to make a difference, okay, they still lost, but at least it was something. At least he provided some kind of spark. But I mean, my God, man, we'll get into this debacle, the game on Monday, but on the Monday podcast. But right now, man, 1-5. What I saw last night and what we've seen so far. Yeah. Look, Eli Manning is a shell of what he was. All right, at age 37. Mm-hmm. The offensive line is doing him no favors. They are abysmal. They are an abysmal unit. Nate Solder, I give him a D-, not quite an F. I give him a D-. Patrick Omame is no better than John Jerry. Will Hernandez is pretty good and getting better. Okay? I mean, I can't believe Manning last night was hit 19 times and sacked 4. Yeah. But just with what I saw in that game, the offense couldn't do anything. The defense couldn't stop anybody. And again, I don't want to just dwell on that game. I kind of want to give a whole again the whole 6 games in a sum, right? And for being 1-5, I can't believe what I'm seeing each and every week. And like I said, Manning's struggling. His line's doing him no favors, but it's clear, Chris, it's clear that the only thing Giant fans have to look forward to right now is the 2019 NFL draft and what quarterback we're going to take. And Giant fans out there, if I'm you, I'm watching the Washington-Oregon game tomorrow night. Because from everything I hear, it's going to be Justin Herbert next year as the Giants' number 1 pick. It might be the number 1 pick in the draft if the Giants are picking there. But that's the kid it seems like everybody wants. And, man, I can't believe how this team has failed in every aspect so far this year. Yeah.
Last night was all 3 phases, right? I mean, it was at least they were competitive the first 5 games. Last night they weren't, right, Jerry? I mean, they were just dominated by the Eagles for 60 minutes last night. Started right off with the turnover, bad throw by Eli. And it continued. It just snowballed from there. Really ugly. Like you said, Jerry, I don't think there's any question they will go with a quarterback next year. Eli is, I'm sorry, but he's just shell-shocked, in my opinion, in that pocket. He was battered last night. Most of the time, he had no chance. It seems to me, Jerry, that when he does have time, he's anticipating getting hit. He can't have that. He's a veteran. He's 15 years in the league, and I think the hits, Jerry, the poorest offensive line the last 5-6 years has taken a toll on Eli, and it has affected him in that pocket.
Chris, you sent out a tweet. You sent out a tweet last night, and I'm not kissing your butt here, man. It was brilliant. This what's happened to Eli Manning has been a failure of Jerry Reese. Okay, so what we're seeing today is a completely shell-shocked 37-year-old who never had the legs, right? I mean, other than one play in the Super Bowl where he
Right.
somehow escaped, never had the legs. The arm strength, just throwing the ball down the field, it just doesn't look like he has it anymore. He looks completely like he's playing with absolutely no confidence. And I always go back to there was one hit he took in 2016. You guys can all say I'm crazy, but if you YouTube it, it's there. Chris Baker's hit on him in the Redskin game. He drilled him. And I thought since that game, he's just been shell-shocked. And you're right. It's a result of 5 or 6 years. And to say that Reese didn't try to fix the line is a little disingenuous. I mean, he whiffed. He whiffed
Jerry,
on it. No, not you.
Jerry,
I'm saying what people say.
Yeah.
Not you.
Okay.
What people say.
Yeah. Okay.
He whiffed on everyone. Justin Pugh, Weston Richburg, James Brewer. My God, terrible picks. Eric Flowers, who now is the Jaguar. Who I'm missing guys. Brandon Mosley, McCants, who they cut and ended up being a Raider. He missed on, and I think it started when he got David Boss in 2011, who was a terrible center. Jerry Reese could not spot an offensive lineman with a flashlight, man. But oh my God, he was so bad at protecting Eli Manning and building around him. And and this is what we have now. We just have a shell shot quarterback who feels the rush when it's not even there.
Yeah, there's no question that Eli is doing that in the pocket. He has no faith in the offensive line at all. And a few times he has time, he just looks like he's anticipating getting hit. It's really a shame, Jerry, because Eli was 31 when he won Super Bowl 46.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's still prime years for a quarterback, right, bud? And they basically have been wasted because a general manager did not know how to draft. And now, me and you never said he didn't address the offensive line. He did.
Right.
But he didn't pick solid players. That was the problem.
He whiffed. You can make the argument, Chris, that he whiffed on every pick he made.
Yeah, listen.
On the line, I mean, and you could throw in Mitch Petrus too.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, on the offensive line. No, I know. I know what you're saying. Yeah. Listen, Pugh gave us a couple of decent years. Richburg gave us one decent year, 2 maybe, but they were not. First of all, they weren't tackles, Jerry. Right? I mean, how do you build an offensive line in today's football? You need offensive tackles, right, bud? Yeah. And he never drafted solid offensive tackles. Okay, he drafted a couple of guards, the whole deal. He drafted tackles, but like guys like James Brewer were just not NFL type caliber players,
James Brewer from that powerhouse, Indiana.
Right. So Jerry Reese is the reason why Eli Manning has wasted a lot of his prime years, and it's a shame. And the result of that has been him getting batted a lot. He has lost confidence, I believe, in his offensive line the last few years. I mean, rightfully so. And he has lost confidence in himself at times. I think Eli, where he's just not confident enough to, throw the ball, let receivers run their routes, and he's just checking down a lot, And
I mean, he's not stepping up in the pocket. He's almost bailing out of everything. And I actually thought the most confident he looked, I thought, was the Jaguar game for some reason. Even I'd say Houston too, obviously, because they won that game. But I thought in the Jacksonville game, he kind of seemed to look like he had a little faith in his line. I just thought he missed some passes. But last night, he looked, just almost like he didn't want to be out there. And I don't even blame the guy. But what's clear is his skills have declined drastically. And if you watch Saquon Barkley, to say that the Giants should have taken a quarterback, listen, let's just pretend in fantasy land that we took Sam Darnold. You take Sam Darnold.
Right.
Giant fans got to realize you don't get Saquon Barkley as well. He's gone. So then, okay, you're going to take a running back in the 2nd or 3rd round, because running backs are available all through the draft, they say. Well, then you're not getting Will Hernandez. So tell me what happens to Sam Darnold behind this line with just Odell and Shepard, no running game or a subpar one, and an even possibly a worse offensive line. Not to mention the fact that he was going to sit for a year because the Giants couldn't cut Manning because of the salary cap ramifications. So I don't want to hear it anymore about Barkley and a quarterback. The Giants will be picking top 5 next year. They're going to get the guy they want one way or another, whether they trade up or what. But I'm so sick of hearing it. And everyone's saying, oh, you blew it. You didn't take Darnold or Allen or Rosen. And if you watch Barkley, are people high? Are people nuts? This kid, Ike Reese, who's an Eagle, put it best. Giant fans are looking at this year and saying, we should have taken a quarterback. You're going to get your guy next year. And I'm sick of hearing that argument. I'm sick of Giant fans saying it. And it's just, it's frustrating, man.
Well, in all fairness, a lot of people said that at the beginning of the season, Jerry, not figuring that the Giants are going to have a top 3 pick again, right? I mean, they were like, well, you should have taken a quarterback because, you're not going to be picking that high again. Well, guess what, Jerry? We're going to be picking that high again.
But they're still dumb enough to say it, and that's what drives me crazy. People are still saying it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Or they're still saying it. Yeah, no doubt. Now here, like you said, a Donald or a Rosen, they weren't going to be playing this year until probably the second half of the year when the Giants are out of it. And if you do that, what happens then?
Right.
They get destroyed behind this offensive line. Now, how much does that set them back, right? Even if we did do that, right? And he put him in because I don't think Sherman's going to sit around when we're 1-11 and just keep playing Eli. I really don't.
No,
I think they'll do it more of a.
Get in there.
Yeah, I think they're going to do more of a professional way where Eli plays a half, and then they put the kid in, or something like that. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like last year; it was a debacle. But they're going to have to look at Laletta. They did draft him. I'm sure they're going to, put him in there. Sherman said today they're not even thinking that. Rightfully so. It's a 1-5 team, not a 1-11 team, and they're not going to throw. At 1-5, you're not going to throw the white towel in.
Yeah.
No matter how much they're not going anywhere. You're just not going to do that, Jerry. Yeah. Not now. Right. Not October 12th. I mean, and Sherman's right, and the organization's right. I don't blame them for that. You can't just say, okay, that's it, we're done. You know what I mean? That ain't happening, But I don't think there's any question, Jerry, that Eli Manning will not be the quarterback next year. And trust me, Jerry, I'm not blaming this all on Eli. You know, I'm not blaming it on Eli. I'm just saying that the organization needs to move on, draft a younger kid with a little legs to get out of the pocket and keep building that offensive line, But listen, Eli's 37. He's got 3 kids and a wife. And I don't care what anybody says. When you catch a beating for the number of years that he has caught a beating, and when you're 24, Jerry, and and you stand in the pocket and you say to yourself, "Okay, I don't care if this guy drills."
Oh, you have no sense of mortality, whether in life or in football. So I couldn't agree more with what you're saying.
But when you're when you're 37, you have 3 daughters. Guess what? Maybe you check down a little quicker when the pocket's collapsing. And listen, NFL players have said that, Jerry. So I totally agree. And believe me, Jerry, I'm not calling Eli Manning a less of a man because of that. Because that guy is one of the toughest guys I've ever seen. Eli. He even took a. I'm sorry, Jerry. Just one quick thing. He took a hit last night. I think it was from Michael Bennett.
Yeah.
And Eli actually stayed down like 2-3 seconds, which is a shocker. Yeah. You could tell the hit really jolted him, Jerry. And of course he got up. Of course, Eli is one of the toughest guys I've ever seen. I'm not calling him less of a man, buddy, but it is the reality of the situation.
Yeah, I was going to say, the 2011 championship game alone showed you how tough he was. And then what he's gone through for the past 5 or 6 years. And, stellar linemen like J.D. Walton are in front of him and Bobby Hart. And, the list goes on and on of the jokes, the absolute jokes that have been in front of him. But I don't want to. I'm not always looking for like the defining moment in Giants history, right? Don't get me wrong, but the miracle of the Meadowlands in '78 prompted a firing, and almost. I always felt like when that happened, it was such a cataclysmically terrible event that the Giants fired everyone, hired George Young, and then they drafted Sims, Taylor, and the rest was history. In a way, it was almost a good thing, right? In a very strange, perverse, weird way. Last night, to me, it seemed like Giant fans came to the realization, most of them, that 3 things. 1, they have to move on from Eli. 2, the new face of the franchise is clearly Saquon Barkley, which is why I said since February he was going to be the draft pick. And 3, Are people ready to move on from Odell Beckham? Because it's one thing to smash your head into a fan and act like a complete idiot on the sidelines like he does all the time. But it's another thing to do the interview that he did with Josina Anderson after the Giants paid him $95 million, $65 guaranteed, and then say he likes LA better and he likes the sunshine. And then also, before the end of the half, Odell disappears, and then he comes back after the second half kickoff and then says, "Oh, I needed an IV." But what was this? Was this phantom IV? Did it happen? Are Giant fans, do you think, ready to just say, you know what, I've had enough? And more importantly, Chris, do you think the Giant organization thinks, you know what, this is just not worth the trouble anymore?
Well, I think a portion of the Giant fans are. I think a portion of the Giant fans are starting to get fed up with Odell's antics. I think the interview hurt him. I think a lot of Giant fans.
And Chris,
look at that
trust me, bud, I don't want to put you on the spot. I know you're in that locker room, but I just your sense of things. Don't matter. That's all.
Yeah. Listen, I could tell you this. We'll never name anybody, but I can tell you this, that, some players, when I do mention Odell, do roll their eyes, kind of like the axe getting old, the interview, all right, they move past it and all that, but, I think, some guys look at it like, you understand, Jerry, when players are sitting there in their locker room stalls and they have to keep answering Odell questions, it gets annoying.
Sure.
It gets annoying.
You could see Shermer got annoyed last
don't
week
deny
with
it. Who?
Shermer got annoyed with it last week when they were asking him after the Carolina game.
Yeah, Jerry Shermer was annoyed last night.
Yeah.
About it.
Sure.
When you're losing football games and the first questions out of a reporter's mouth about Odell's antics, it's annoying. And Sherman was not happy with it. Today he came out and said, I wouldn't slam my head against the fan to fire myself up. Saw Sherman quickly in the locker room after the game last night. Didn't look like he was happy with a lot of stuff besides the play of the football team.
Yeah.
Kind of glanced over to Odell's locker while he was talking. The way I looked at it was like he wasn't too happy.
Yeah, I mean, you can get a sense of it, right? I mean, you can almost feel it. Yeah. You can feel it in the interviews. You can just feel it within the organization. And it's almost like a turning point. Last night was another ego game turning point for this franchise where it's going to go off and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm full of it. Maybe I'm out of my mind. But I just think everything's going to kind of go off in different directions now. The quarterback, the face being Saquon and kind of building around him. And I don't know, man. I watched what happened with Odell, and I thought it was sickening. I thought it was to follow up. Real quick. Let me make one point. To follow up the interview that came out with that and what he did last night. I think the Giants have to have complete buyer's remorse with this contract.
I don't know if they have it yet, Jerry, but I think that the Odell drama is starting to wear thin on Shermer. If it continues, Jerry, I think Shermer, is going to be pretty much fed up with it.
Yeah.
Where I could see him down the road, kind of, saying to Gettleman or
it's him or me.
Like, what are we doing?
Right.
I don't. You know what, Jerry? I don't want to go with a him or me.
No, I know, but
scenario,
but as a coach, you have to take control of your team, and if you don't, you're not going to get the respect that you want.
Right. It's just like, after the interview, Sherman was basically said, "Okay, I talked to him about it," and then, he's coming out, slamming his head, and that's Odell. I understand. I know that's part of the deal, but you think he would give Sherman like a kind of a break, right? I mean, he had to answer all kinds of questions about this interview for 3 days, and now he's got to ask questions about an IV. He's got to ask questions about slamming his head on the sideline.
Yep.
Saquon had to calm him down. He's got the tears in the eyes again. I understand the emotion. A lot of people love that.
Our 21-year-old rookie. Our 21-year-old rookie was the one to calm him down. The 21-year-old calmed down the 25-year-old 5-year veteran. But okay, go ahead. Sorry, bud.
Yeah. Yeah, and Russell Shepard was trying to last night on the bench. He's trying to calm him down too a little bit. Again, mind you, he was trying to calm him down. It's just, a head coach does not want to deal with this on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis.
Yeah.
4 months of the season, especially when you're losing, Jerry. It's very, very frustrating with Sherman, and you could see in his face that he's just so sick of this already that he has to answer Odell questions. Now, I have a question for you.
Sure.
I got to be honest with you, Jerry. I'm sitting in the press conference room, with everybody waiting for Coach Sherman last night after the game, and he was asked about Odell leaving. He said he needed an IV. And we all looked at each other, and I don't think there was one person in the press conference room that believed Odell needed an IV last night.
Sure. Why would you believe it?
And you look, well, I got to be honest with you. I believed the first one last week. I said, okay, we'll give him obviously who might have said that's not true. Second week in a row, walking to the locker room without a trainer, which is always, right? Okay, you always see him walking with a trainer if somebody needs an IV, right? Without a trainer, I see him walking in the tunnel, shaking his head like in disgust. I have a hard time believing, Jerry, that he needed an IV last night. And Sherman came out today because, if you remember, they ran one play, right, with 2 seconds left while Odell was in the locker room last night, Jerry, before halftime. And they asked Sherman about it. Sherman goes, I didn't even know he wasn't on the sideline. Then they told him.
And that's so bad, man. That's so bad. I didn't know. Oh, my God. Sorry.
Well, they asked him about the play because what happened, if you remember, was that they had 2 seconds left. So Sherman decided not to take a lead. He called a pass, remember?
Yeah. Yep.
And it wasn't a Hail Mary. I don't know why, but he called a little whatever pass, and they had a formation in, and they told him that Odell's not even on the field. He was in the locker room. And Sherman, came out to the media and said, I didn't even know that. I had to put somebody else in the game, which I believe was Cody Latimer or might have been Joel Davis. I'm not sure, but not a good look, bud. Not a lot of people believing he needed an IV. I'm not going to say he's a lie. I just have a hard time believing it myself, Jerry, that he needed for the second week in a row. I was watching him on the sidelines in the first half. He wasn't like laying down, cramping up. Looks like even complaining about cramps. But I'm not a doctor, bud, so I'm not going to come out and say the kid was totally lying, but I had a hard time believing it.
Yeah, man, the approach I take with Odell, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to talk about it after this, but I think everybody is pretty clear where I stand from the stuff I write about Odell and what I've been advocating last year as well. I mean, in 1983, Brad Van Pelt wanted a raise from George Young, and he basically said, I'm one of the best linebackers in the league, blah, blah, blah. And George Young looked at him and said, yeah, you're right. You are. Everything you said to me is right. But we can go 3-12-1 without you. And since 2014, we've had one winning season. And in that winning season, I don't need to remind everyone about the awesome boat trip and the drop passes in the Green Bay game. Now, did he drop the passes because of the boat trip? No. But it's just another distraction with this guy. They haven't won a playoff game since he's been there. And they've had losing seasons. They're on their way to another. They're on their way to probably a 4-12 season if they're lucky. I think it's going to be worse. I think it's going to be worse than last year. I think they're going to be 2-14. But that's just me. I think they win one more game. But I mean, this is not. I just don't think he's worth the trouble. It is what it is. The Giants have made their decision. I'm not going to affect any change by saying this, but I would have never signed him. I advocated trading him for a first-round pick and kind of going from there. But we are where we are, and he gives us something to talk about every week. So thank you, Odell. Thank you for giving us a topic to discuss, just in case the Giants weren't interesting enough at 1-5. But that's enough with Odell, Chris. The defense, the defense so far. You said it. Disappointed with James Betcher's scheme. I don't know. This defense has no identity to me. And now I'm starting to see the same things I saw last year. It started in the Carolina game, and it kind of continued in the Eagle game. The tackling is terrible. Carl Banks is saying it. Like, the fundamentals are lost on defense.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on the last 2 weeks, right? I mean, they must have about 20 missed tackles in 2 weeks. I mean, what's going on there? I mean, I don't get Yeah, Jerry, I got to be honest with you. I mean, I was praising Betcha and the design and the schemes and the looks he was showing in camp and the stuff he was working on. I just haven't seen that, Jerry, when the regular season has started. I haven't seen it.
And Chris, to that point, real quick, you haven't seen the offense either. Like you were talking about all the offensive, how exotic it looked, this offense, and we haven't seen anything like that.
Yeah.
What are they, coaching scared?
Yeah. I don't know, man, but I don't know, but talk, staying with the defense for a second.
Yep.
Yeah, they're not getting any pressure. I mean, OV helped last night, no question about it. He had like 3 or 4 pressures, 2 pressures, plus the sack. He definitely helped OV. But other than that, Wentz had all the time in the world, right? I mean, numerous times, he had all the time in the world for an offensive line that's given up a lot of sacks. And then they got hurt, and then guys were getting hurt through the game for the Eagles, right? And the Giants still weren't getting there. When Jason Peters tore his bicep and, excuse me, Lane Johnson was hobbling around, I thought Betcher was going to start sending a house on third down plays, and he didn't. I mean, so is it because he has no confidence in his secondary? How could you not have confidence in Jenkins and Apple? I mean, who did not play well last night, mind you, but still. If you're going to lose, Jeff, if you're going to give up 30 points by rushing 4-man, once in a while you send a blitz, 5th guy, whatever, you might as well lose by sending 5, 6 guys, right?
Right, because then you'll at least you'll force Wentz into either a sack or an interception.
Do something, man. I mean, it's baffling to me, Jerry, what they're doing on defense. And then last night, Ray Armstrong's been a big part of his defense, right?
Yep.
First 5 games. Last night he doesn't play. He only played a few snaps, and then all of a sudden you see Nate Stupar in the rotation.
Yeah.
Like what's going on? I mean, it's like a Goodson. Now it's a Goodson, Ray Armstrong, and Nate Stupar rotation on the inside. I don't know, but
I don't know if offenses are sleeping or staying up at night worrying about Nate Stupar rushing the passer. Nothing against him. He's been a good special teams player, but come on, man.
Yeah, you know what, Jerry? They're not worried about. I don't think any offenses are worried about our defense because we don't get to the quarterback, and and now the guys in the back end. Collins last night just letting Ashton Jeffrey get away from him,
and he
in the end zone.
He was
big
there.
Plays down the
field. He had the
field.
coverage, and he let him get away.
Because I tell you why he let him get away, because he had Jeffrey. He was placing him in the end zone, and then he started looking up at Wentz to see what he was doing. And as soon as he did that, Jeffrey broke away from him.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Which Landon admitted to us. I'm not making this up, folks. Landon admitted to it. You know. And then you got guys, down the field. Wentz extends plays, so you have to stick with your receiver. And Apple, I think twice last night, Apple let his guy get away. Nelson Aguilar had a big play down the field, right? When Wentz extended the play.
Yep.
Jeffrey had a play.
Apple lost him.
I mean, Zach Ertz touchdown. That's like automatic. That's like me saying, "Hey, what's your name, Jerry Foley?" I mean, it's like as automatic as it comes, right? It's as automatic.
He's the new Jason Witten.
Name.
He's our new Jason Witten. Zach Ertz.
Yeah, I mean, as automatic as you know your name, Jerry, is as automatic. Wentz is going to hit Zach Ertz in the red zone for a touchdown. I mean, it's just no question about it. Same route as last year. Except a different defender. It's like incredible.
So we've covered offense and defense, right? And we were talking about it earlier. The Giants have turned over, I think, 31 guys, and I was kind of going back to 84 was the last time I remember that many. I think they overturned 22, and they went from 83 to 84. They were 3-12-1.
I have no idea how you.
No,
I have no idea how you remember that,
idiot,
man. There's something seriously wrong with you, by the way. I
have
no idea you remember that, guy.
So they went from 3-12-1 to 9-7. They overturned 22 guys. So now they overturned 31, and I thought, well, the roster was so bad, maybe they'll get better. But what I've learned, unfortunately, and I think everybody's learning, is next year in the offseason, somehow through the draft and free agency, in order to be competitive, the Giants need a quarterback, another receiver, whether it's a replacement for our guy, which it won't be. He'll be there too. But they need another receiver on the other side because it's just not working right now with just Shepard in the slot. So they're going to need a quarterback, a receiver, a pass rusher, whether it's a D end or a linebacker, a safety, because Curtis Riley's not cutting it, and I don't know if Landon Collins is going to get signed. A corner, because I think Jenkins is going to go. And I would say at least 2 offensive linemen, and probably a linebacker. I just counted 8 guys over the draft and free agency that they're going to have to nail, right, before they can even be like 8-8. And maybe I'm making too much of it, but the roster as it stands now is so bad, up and down, right? Other than we're really good in spots at running back, and Odell's very talented, and Vernon's a good pass rusher. But the roster is so depleted of talent. We're going to need about 8 guys next year to be competitive.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing this to depress you and every Giant fan in the world, but this is what I'm seeing now, and I'm just thinking, my God, Gettleman, he thought his job was tough this year. Wait till next year, because it's all going to be on him next year.
Yeah, sure. Now it's going to be his team, right? It's totally his team, right? Second draft, Yeah, listen, they got some young kids. They got Ogletree. I think, listen, Jerry, if they could get a solid right tackle, and if they could draft one and sign a free agent on the offensive line that's effective now. I don't mean signing a Patrick Omameh and then he looks like, my grandmother out there. I mean a guy that they signed that actually plays football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That actually knows how to play the sport of football. That could actually hold Fletcher Cox up for a couple of plays, during a game. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I mean, if you could get, if they could draft. Listen, Jerry, you could improve that. We thought the offensive line was going to be improved, right? It hasn't. Okay, it hasn't.
It's somehow it's. I think it's worse somehow. And I look at the names. I don't know how it's worse, but I think it is.
I got to be honest with you, Jerry. John Jerry's probably better than Patrick Omameh. He turned out to be better than Patrick Omameh.
Is that a kick?
And at the beginning of the year, watching Omameh last year and Jacksonville and then Jerry, I was like, well, it's an upgrade. Omameh's an upgrade over Jerry. You know what? It hasn't been an upgrade over Jerry. Jerry might have been better.
Oh, my God.
Scary, bud.
Now,
scary.
What do you think? Do you think Chad Wheeler is penciled in for next year or penned in?
No way.
Right.
No way. He's pending. When this season ends, I don't think there's any way Shermer get him and say, okay, that's our right tackle.
Yeah, I was hoping you would tell me yes. I'm looking for something here, man.
Yeah, listen, the kid has done a pretty decent job, Chad. He's played better than Flowers was playing out there. I give him that,
Yeah.
But he's just not a quality right tackle. He's better than Flowers, but he's not a quality right tackle. He's not a kid you look at and say, okay, this is our kid next year, right tackle. No way. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So they'll look to upgrade that, and obviously, Jerry, I got to be honest, I sent it out on Twitter today that Pat Shermer should have his head checked if he comes back with Patrick Omameh at right guard for the Falcon game. I'm sorry.
What's the lineup you would have?
I would have Pulley, who played 16 games last year for, snapping to Phillip Rivers. I would have him at center, and I would put, the veteran Greco at right guard and try that combination, Jerry. Could it get worse, bud?
No, but we also said this line can't be worse than last year, but I agree with you. It scares the hell out of me because going into this season, I thought, well, the line's fixed, and man, was I wrong. The right side was terrible. Nate Solder's not playing up to what I thought he could be, and real quick, man, going forward, no more ex-Patriots and no more ex-Eagles, because those two teams know when guys are done, especially Eagles. Connor Barwin last night, the ball was thrown literally through his body somehow. That could have been a game changer. He hasn't done anything with this team. The Eagles, I go back to like Dorsey Levens, Brian Mitchell, Carlos Emmons, Jerome McDougal, Connor Barwin, all ex-league Eagles who stunk with the Giants. No more Eagles.
Yeah, no more Patriots, right? Belichick lets you go.
Yes, right.
I can't crucify Solder after 6 games, but he hasn't played that well.
No.
He got beat bad last night. And, when you draft, Jerry, too, when you draft, you're drafting against your opponents, right, in your division, right?
Right.
Because you're facing them twice a year.
Yep.
The Giants have to get interior linemen, especially a right guard. Why? Okay, now people are, why is that, Chris? Why is that so? Because you're playing Fletcher Cox twice a year.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you're going to be seeing two young studs for the Redskins, too, in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
The two kids from Alabama, okay? They're 2 draft picks the last 2 years. So when you're facing those teams twice a year, that's part of the strategy when you're drafting. Patrick Omameh is getting dominated up front.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. Last night, Fletcher Cox was playing with him last night. It was embarrassing the way Cox was throwing him around last night, Jerry.
Yep.
So you can't go. I cannot see Shermer, and I'm looking forward to actually asking him next week if somebody beats me to it. But I am definitely going to ask him if he's coming back with that combination again, because I can't see it, bud. Can't see it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so bummed. It's the weather finally broke here in the Northeast. It felt like fall today for like the first time ever this year. Yep. And I go outside and my team's 1-5, man. It's a bummer. Like we are in
season's over.
We're at the season's over. We're in the wilderness years 2.0, right? And we are just I don't know how long long this is going to last. I mean, everyone always says, well, you could turn things around quickly, but the Giants haven't. It's been 5 years of bad football outside of one playoff appearance where they just, crap the bed, as they say. And the defense was good that year. The offense was not. And I don't know, man. I don't know where this team's going. I don't know where they're headed. It seems like they're just a lost ship at sea.
Well, here's the thing.
I don't know if we have the right coach anymore. I have no idea, man. Go ahead. What's up?
Jerry, here's the thing. You're pretty happy with Gettleman's draft this year, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
let's get him another draft.
Yeah.
In 2019.
Yeah.
And let's see where he takes it from there. He's found a lot of good, solid players in his 5 years in Carolina, right? You agree with that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, he found a lot of good offensive linemen now, Gettleman. One undrafted that turned out to be a Pro Bowler. And he drafted 2 guys in the middle round, something Jerry Reese could not do.
Right.
Find talent in the middle round.
Yeah.
Okay? Reese stunk at that. That's why we are here today where we are at.
Yeah.
Numerous losing seasons, because you have to draft in the middle rounds. All right? So what a Gettleman in his years in Carolina drafted, a Trey Turner, Pro Bowler, in the 3rd round, drafted a Darrell Williams out of nowhere in the 4th round, and he made the Pro Bowl. He was all pro, which is a big difference than a Pro Bowler, okay?
Yeah, right.
He was all pro last year. So Gettleman, he got to Hernandez. This Hernandez kid's going to get better and better.
Oh, I like him.
He's played pretty good.
Yeah.
He's played pretty good for the Giants. He's made mistakes.
He had a good pancake block on Barkley's. He had a good pancake block on Barkley's run last night.
Yeah, he sprung him. He sprung Barkley on that run.
Yep.
That was Hernandez's block, and then Shepard on the crackback, was the final one. But what was I saying is that Gettleman, pretty good draft. I mean, this Carter, I liked him. I don't know why he's not getting more snaps.
I don't either. I don't understand that.
B.J. Hill, right? This McIntosh kid, we're going to see what he's got next year when he gets healthy.
Yeah.
So pretty good, right, Jerry? So let's get Gettleman. Let him get another draft under his belt. Got the roster some more. We're going to have to move on from Eli, and we'll see. You know what, Jerry? Don't be that discouraged, because you can turn teams around pretty quick in this league.
I feel like you're like my shrink, and you're trying to talk me from jumping off.
Well,
I'm
just saying it. I'm just saying it because I've seen it. You've seen teams go from pretty bad to pretty good the next year. So let's just see what happens. But let's give Gettleman another year to build up that offensive line. Did he overpay for Solder? Obviously he did. But let Solder play the rest of this season. Honestly, Solder always gets off a little slow. He hasn't played that good. I know that. He hasn't played that good. Let's see how he finishes. There's still 10 games left, bud, right? There's still 10 games left.
One more.
Obviously, the right side of the line.
One more question, bud.
Yeah.
What's the record have to be before we see Kyle Lauletta?
I would say probably you figure around Halloween, bud.
Wow, really?
I'd say right around. I would say right after Halloween, they could be 1-8, right?
Yeah.
1-9, whatever it is, or beginning of November.
They have Atlanta and then Washington.
The first game.
And then you know what? Actually, that's a good point, bud. They have Atlanta, Washington. Then I think they have a bye, and then they have the 49ers. So if they're how about this? If they're 1-7 into the bye, do we see Lauletta and San Fran maybe?
I think you'll see Lauletta activated.
Yeah.
You'll see him on the 50, on the 46 for game day.
Right.
And I think you're going to see Shermer, getting him more involved in practice, which he is. He's involved in practice.
Yeah.
He gets reps in practice. Besides Eli, he does. I think you'll see his reps increase in practice. And obviously, the first game that he is backing up Eli, it will be the sign, right? The telltale sign that he's going to be coming in real soon. So obviously, when they're 1-8, Jerry, whenever that is, calendar wise, I think that's when you'll start seeing. You'll start seeing him getting in games for the Giants just to get him some reps. They're not going to make the mistake they made last year with Davis Webb.
All right, buddy. I want to thank you for this therapy session, and I have a feeling we're going to have like 8 more, where I'm going to start to lose my mind slowly and actually quicker and quicker, because right now I'm going to be very much into college football now, because I'm going to be looking for the next prospects on who to take, and especially at the quarterback position. And again, this is not all on Eli, but it's clear we have to move on from the Manning era, and God willing, he doesn't do anything the rest of this year to ruin his legacy. I just don't want him to ruin his legacy anymore.
Jerry, it's happened with a lot of great quarterbacks, right, bud? The Montanas, the Favres, right? It's happened. They moved on to other teams. So I'm pretty sure you're going to see that at the end of this year. The Giants just have to go in a different direction. Yeah. And I think you're going to see that, right? But and it has nothing to do with Eli. I feel bad for Eli, Jerry, in a lot of ways.
We all do.
Like we talked about earlier.
Yep.
Like we talked about earlier in the podcast, from the year since he's like 31 years old on, right? For the last 6 years, they've been wasted. They should have been, prime of his career.
And even today, he faces the music. I mean, he faces the music and talks to everybody all the time. And it's a shame. He's just a shell-shocked shell of his former self. Yeah. And last night, actually, there were a couple of times where he reminded me of the Y.A. Tittle picture with Tittle on his knees with blood coming down his face. Like that's the image I saw from Manning last night.
You know what's funny, Jerry, is that John Mara's a class act. The Mara families, they've been class acts for this organization, for the sport, right, for the NFL period, for the longest time. But sometimes, don't you wish you had a little bit of a lunatic like Jerry Jones, where he would have fired a Reese years ago after he didn't put a good product on the field?
We've said it. We've always said it. The Maras are wonderful human beings. I mean, salt of the earth, great people. I'm proud that I root for this team because of the Mara family. But they're loyal to a fault. Right. I mean, Wellington Mara was a saint. He's probably right next to St. Peter up in heaven. But
right.
Just he was loyal to a fault. I mean, he gave Ali Sherman like a 10-year contract, and after a horrible season, and he was loyal to Robustelli for too long. But hey, man, he's the start of once a giant, always a giant. That's him. So you're right, man. It's once in a while you almost wish you had like a lunatic Steinbrenner in there, or Jerry. I can't even say. I can't say Jerry Jones out loud, but you're right. You almost wish you had like a.
Well, you know what I'm. Even like a Dan Snyder or something. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Al Davis.
Like after the third year of watching your star quarterback, who you consider consider him like a son, right? And you see him getting pummeled week after week. If I'm the owner, I would get the GM in my office and go, "Can you explain to me why we can't find anybody that could block up front? Because if we don't next season, you're going to be on the street with them." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's a whole other story, right? But so.
Buddy, awesome job.
All right, bud.
All right, guys. Be sure to order your copy of the Giant Insider newspaper. Still order it. It's a damn good newspaper, even though we stink. Go to www.giantinsider.com or visit Magster for a digital subscription. That's magzter.com. Yearly subscriptions are only $39.95 for the paper copy, and the digital version is only $17. 14 issues a year, as we're bi-weekly during the season and monthly in the off-season. The next podcast will be 8 p.m. Monday, October 15th. We will discuss all things in that damn game from Thursday night against that Feathered Helmet unit. Thanks for listening to a Giant Insider podcast. My name is Jerry Foley. He's Chris Bizignano. And remember, guys, Sundays are still and will always be Giant days. Take care, everyone.
Take care, bud.